Your personal information is being sold online right now, not by hackers, but by data brokers, companies you've never heard of that collect your personal information and sell it. There are hundreds of these sites gathering your phone number, home address, your relatives' information, even your browsing activity, and once your data is out there, it spreads fast. That's why scam calls know your name. It's how strangers can look you up in seconds. And trying to remove your data yourself can take hours per site, with no guarantee it stays gone. Aura does it for you. They automatically find your information and send removal requests to over 200 data broker sites, then keep monitoring to make sure it stays gone, because your data can be relisted at any time. With Aura, you can even see where and when your data was found and removed. The longer your data stays out there, the more it spreads. Try Aura for free at aura.com/hidden. That's aura.com/hidden to try Aura for free.
Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 46. I'm your host, Pam. And today we're going to be talking about perfectionism versus progress, letting go of the all or nothing mindset. There is magic in taking action. When you've been meaning to start a project and you put it off for a while, it feels so daunting. Sometimes people make the joke that, it'll take them 3 months to get to do something that really only takes them like 15 minutes. And it's become kind of like a narrative in our society that, we're always constantly going somewhere, constantly doing something. And, sometimes that 15-minute task is just taking the donation box out, to put it to the donation bin or out at the Salvation Army. And we can't even really figure out why it takes us so long, like why it's something that's so heavy. And we have all these things on a list. It's like a perpetual list, right? And it's like things that we need to do, maybe things that we kind of should do, like maybe take better care of our health. How many times have you not done a workout because you only have a half hour instead of the hour that you think you're supposed to take to work out? Or how many books have you not read because you think that you're supposed to sit and read for 3 hours a day, and that's the only way you think that you're able to read a book and to get that information? We're so set in trying to do everything perfect. And I've talked about this on the podcast, that we get so focused in doing things perfectly that we forget to do them at all. One of the common sayings that I hear from a lot of people is, well, I want to do it right. I don't want to just do something and put it out there. I want it to be right. I want it to be perfect. I want it to feel right. I want it to feel good. Oh, I don't feel sore from that workout, so it's like it didn't happen. I could probably give you hundreds of more phrases that are centered around this idea that unless it's done in one way, it's all or nothing. Unless we follow this exact math or this exact map, this exact formula, it's wasted energy and it's not worth the same. Ask yourself the question though, how many times have you done something or put something off because you wanted to do it quote unquote right? Isn't that wasted time? A lot of the time we're waiting for the perfect time, that all we end up doing with our time is just waiting. We don't do anything at all. When we sit and think about how many things you would have already done if you weren't waiting to do it perfectly. For you, maybe it's starting a blog. Maybe you've been putting off that blog for a few years. Maybe it's remodeling a closet because you're just waiting for the right time in the season or the year. Or the one that I get a lot is the podcast idea. You've asked a few people that hey, I've been meaning to ask you a couple questions, and you start asking about podcasts and you start asking them all the different, what kind of mic do I need? And I have this great topic, and then you basically end up with all these answers and you get all these tools and you end up not doing anything with it because you have this like preconceived notion that you're supposed to do it in a certain way and it has to look a certain way before you can get started. Perfectionism is very elusive. It's something that like you don't really ever acquire. Per Google, the definition of perfectionism is a set of traits that involve setting unrealistically high standards for oneself and others and being overly critical of mistakes. Perfectionists may experience self-doubt, fear of failure, and procrastination. Perfectionism can lead to mental health challenges, burnout, and stress. So, by this definition and explanation of the word, perfectionism holds us back. We spend more time than not doing nothing than doing the things that we want to do. Instead of starting the podcast, you let this idea go for a few years, and now it feels like everyone's thinking about starting one and you haven't even started yours yet. Progress isn't perfect. I'm going to say that again. Progress is not perfect. The reason that is because progress means that you've moved from where you were to another place, and typically that's forward. Maybe you aren't where you want to be just yet, but you've moved. You started from the beginning. Maybe you don't have the thousands upon thousands of people you think you should have on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, but you're posting your content. Maybe you are a wedding photographer and your photographer page isn't showing, like hundreds of thousands of followers, but you've made a couple $1,000s in weddings and you've met amazing people, you've met amazing couples. What if we live the rest of our lives doing things not to perfection, but to progress? Think of the shape of the life that you'd build. Perfectionism holds us back from living. It holds us back from being able to embrace failure and just doing things. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I recently heard a creator that I respect. I think I've interviewed her for the podcast a while back. I follow her on Instagram, and she said that she's been living her life for a couple of years now, maybe even a decade, where she flips a coin. Whenever she's found herself in a situation where she can't make a decision or she's not sure if she should get started, she flips a coin. What if whenever we thought that it wasn't the right time or that we weren't ready or that we weren't going to do it just right, we flipped a coin? Let's say that you can or you can't decide to start your podcast. So when you flip the coin, obviously heads is to start it and the other is to not. Now you land on starting the podcast, and so you do. At first, you're like super nervous, super calculated. You overanalyze everything. But finally, you put out an episode. 2 or 3 people message you and they say, "Oh my gosh, this is so great. You need to do more." You think, wow, okay, I didn't think it was great. I thought that episode was so choppy, but fine. I'll do another one. Next thing you know, you're 46 episodes in. You have people message you regularly about them listening to your podcast and how when you weren't posting to your podcast, they thought that you were done because you hadn't posted in a while. And now you've been interviewing incredible women who are successful in their spaces. And now you're looking to put your podcast further into other people's hands and you're pushing yourself out there and you're moving forward. Hi, that's You the Boss podcast. And that person that I just gave you the example of is me. You see, as a boss, You think that you have to be perfect all the time, because I'm here to tell you that, I've thought this before. And actually, that's really bad thinking. It's wrong, because actually the best thing that you can do is the magical action. A little bit to put you where you want to be. It won't always look its best. It's not. That's the point. The point is to do something that doesn't look perfect so that you know and others can also believe in themselves. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how do I let go of this all or nothing mentality? Like, this isn't who I am. Whenever I do something, I always give it my all. So I want to give you a few things to get you started on letting go of that all or nothing mindset, and just for you to start living, for you to start doing the things that you want to be doing, whether that's to monetize, whether it's just a hobby, whether it's just something that you want to try out. Number 1, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Instead of saying, ugh, get it together, you're failing, you're not doing great at all, say, okay, today didn't go as planned, but we did it. We got through. Instead of saying, I didn't do anything, I feel like I didn't do anything, look at your day and give yourself credit for actually doing a load of laundry, feeding yourself, getting a few things done around the house or at work, maybe a project that you needed to hand in or a task that you've been putting off. Number 2, embrace the good enough mentality. Not everything needs to be perfect. Not everything needs to be gold. It doesn't need to be a gold medal out of the gate. People that go to the Olympics, they don't have perfect practices every single day. They don't land every single thing. They don't do everything right every single time for years at a time. They're not in perfect condition every day, but they work hard, they show up, and they give their best. Number 3, break goals into smaller steps. I always say to my friends when they're feeling overwhelmed, or maybe there's just a couple of things that need to get done and they're like super like frazzled, I ask them, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Another example of that is, it didn't take you overnight to gain 50 pounds. So why do you want to lose your 50 pounds by tomorrow? Why don't you say, you know what? Let me get a 30-minute walk in. Or how about I do some Pilates or some yoga? What if you did that 2 or 3 weeks in a row? Break down your goals into little steps. A little becomes a lot, so start small. Number 4, reframe mistakes as learning opportunities. Oof. One of my best friends says to me like, oh, I learned this when I made this mistake, so this will be something that I can tell you about. And she'll tell me about it, and it brings me so much joy, because instead of quitting the project that she was doing, which she's done really well in, she has made different things into her own, because she's started projects, she's learned from those mistakes and didn't quit. Use them as learning opportunities. Reframe mistakes into, okay, what did we learn here? Not in a condescending way, but in a good job, doing something that allowed you to learn, into that progressive way. Number 5, allow flexibility in your plans. There's always room for error in a plan, no matter how perfectly crafted. It's okay to have to switch gears every now and then. Be okay with making changes. Not only does this help you be quick on your feet, but it also gives you the confidence to be able to face things as they come. Instead of being completely derailed and defeated, be prepared. Things are going to change up. You still get the same end result, even if you have to take a few detours. In closing, remember that some things will be perfect. Some things are going to go exactly as you plan them, in the time that you plan them. During those times, enjoy it, celebrate it, give thanks, give yourself the same pat on the back because you did it. You stayed active. You did what you said you were going to do. And in the time that it doesn't, congrats. You pushed through despite the bumps in the road. See, bossing up it's not supposed to look perfect. Bossing up is embracing the chaos of it all and progressing to the bigger goal. So go out there, make the magic in the action. Thank you for listening. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.